Sure, something a lot of people need to realize is that the money printer never stops printing. Same with time. Both of those things are always going 24/7. They don't ever stop, right? And you need to realize that if you're going to spend your time, let's say partying, drinking, smoking, relaxing, having fun, time is running out. You're wasting out on money. From there, you're not going to be able to achieve what you want in life, etc.
Welcome to the Minority Mind Podcast, guys. I'm back again with the Young Professional segment. And truly, I'm excited to have a conversation with you, man. I just want you to introduce yourself to everybody here and really just give us an introduction into who you are.
Of course. First off, thank you for having me here, brother. I appreciate you for the invite. For those who don't know who I am, my name is Danilo Vasilic. What I do is I work with content creators, and I help them monetize their audience.
That's perfect, man. I know that right now, social media is the thing. Social media is where a lot of people are able to make, extra income on the side, or even like a lot of people are making full-time incomes from providing value online. And I know you help creators do that. Tell us a little bit about how you got into that. How did you get into growth operating in the first place? And just to remind people how young you are, tell them when you started, because, bro, you really have a lot of experience for, where you started at and where you are now.
Sure. Yeah, so basically how I started my entrepreneurial journey was right now I'm currently 18 years old, right? And I did basically every business model you could think of, right? Drop shipping, SMMA. I tried everything, even trading, right? But none of it really seemed to work out for me, right? I started when I was around 17 years old, so I was going through every single business model, but nothing really stuck out for me until I landed on growth operating. I partnered up with one of my friends, okay? And I saw him at the gym. His name is Eddie Cumberbatch. Most of you probably already know him, but we partnered up together. He showed me how to do it. I looked at, the business model, and I thought it just made sense at the time, right? So I kept going with it, and then a few months later, I was able to hit my first 10K month, and then from there, I've just been doing that ever since.
That's amazing, man. The power of connections, truly. People underestimate how much one connection can do for you, especially when you're willing to actually get the knowledge and execute like you did. For people that are trying to get into the space today, how would you tell them to get started? They're trying to get into the space, and first we already know that the mindset has to be different. Not everybody can do this unless they take care of their mindset first. What mindset hacks or, just mindset information in general did you implement to be able to get into it so young and execute?
For sure, yes. So one of the most important things when it comes to even getting into business in the first place is you have to be able to just start, right? A lot of people see failure down the line simply because they don't start and they don't take the action that's necessary in order to see growth, right? So let's say you want to get into drop shipping or something and you're looking at all these YouTube videos, you're getting your mind clogged, right? You're not really sure what exactly to do. You have to channel in your focus and just start. A lot of people push things off. My number one tip for anyone that's looking to get into any type of online business is just put all the clutter to the side, jump in, focus, and just start.
Yeah, that's huge. We got access to a lot of information. People will mentally masturbate all day. They'll go between like drop shipping, do nothing with that, and then find out about SMMA, do nothing with that, and then they'll like find out about these other business models and just never execute. We have to actually take the information in, do something with it, and then we'll find something that works. And truly, what you found was amazing, because right now I believe that the industry you're in is going to be the industry that's pushing forward brands, businesses, like everything moving forward into the future. So when you're talking about execution, what things from, your past, you coming up and things like that led you to become an executor? Like, how was it like for you growing up? How was it like for, you getting into business? Do you have entrepreneurship in your family, or was this like just something you were into?
Yeah, for sure. So growing up, I used to play basketball, right? And believe it or not, basketball taught me a lot of things that translate directly towards business, right? So in order to be successful in basketball, you have to train, right? No one's going to be good at the sport if you're not putting in the work. That translated directly over to business, right? That's the same way I jumped straight into growth operating. I realized that if I wasn't going to put in the work just like I did in basketball, and if I didn't put that work into business, I wasn't going to be able to do anything. So basketball and just playing sports, right, experiencing life, experiencing school in general, it's huge, right? And you have to translate that skill of being able to put the work in, train, see the results over to business.
You're big on that, man. I'm definitely a basketball player myself, and understanding that, especially when you're someone who doesn't start out as good, you don't start out as like being naturally athletic. You put in the work, you lift weights, you do all the hard work that no one sees, and then out of nowhere, it seems like you just had this overnight success, but really you were putting in the work behind the scenes the whole time. That's huge. So, with sports, what made you get into sports initially? Was it something that, because for me, I'm gonna be honest, I played basketball for a lot of my life. I was forced to. Then I didn't like it, but then eventually I found out like I actually like playing. I like hooping. So then when I finally said I like this, I want this, that's when I finally actually took that to the next level and went to put in the work I knew was necessary. How did you get into sports, and how do you feel like motivation plays into what you did to get the outcomes you're able to get, making, easily six figures plus online, at 18?
For sure, yeah. So growing up, believe it or not, my whole circle was playing basketball, right? Some of my closest friends that I grew up around, they were all playing basketball, but I wasn't really forced into it, right? So I saw them playing basketball. I was like, yo, this is cool. Like, I want to do the same thing, right? I wanted to fit in, okay? And I wasn't that good in the beginning. Honestly, I was pretty bad, right? I got cut from my 6th, 7th, and 8th grade team. And then that sort of taught me, like, you need to put the work in. You need to train, like I was saying earlier, in order to actually get something in life. So I put the work in, started training, started getting focused, right? Wrote down my goals, wrote down what I wanted to achieve. I wanted to make varsity sophomore year. I wanted to make the team freshman year, which at the time seemed pretty like unbelievable. Like, this kid's crazy. He got cut all 3 years, right? But I saw that and I wanted to make it happen. So I locked in for 3 years, and freshman year I was able to become a starter, and then sophomore year was my first year playing varsity as a sophomore.
Wow. Yeah, that takes work. People don't see the trials and tribulations. Everybody goes through that time of not being good. I remember 8th grade was my first year taking basketball seriously, and I made like the entire season. I made like 8 points. Got laughed at all the time. Like 8 points. That's it. From that point forward, I just took everything and locked in. I was in the gym 6 hours a day. I was the type of kid to do your homework in study hall or something like that so I could go hoop after school. It went from averaging like having 8 points an entire season to like 15 points per game freshman year. Same thing sophomore. Then junior, senior year, I'm playing with like the top 10 high school teams in the city, and just going from there, realizing that like, yeah, you can put in work if you know how to actually work the system, not just do the work, but let the work on you. Because sometimes you might not see the immediate results. You get in 100, not 100, 500 shots a day. You might not see that work for like a couple weeks. It really show that your form is like that. Same with getting into business, growth operating. The work you do might not look like it's working at first, but you're learning. Like, I guarantee you the work is coming. The work is working on you so that you can actually learn the skill. But yeah, let's move into a little bit about habits, because that's a lot of the mindset stuff, the resilience, getting into how to push through tough times. What type of habits you feel like helped you get to this point? Helped you get to the point where growth operating is now something you're able to do for high level creators?
For sure. Yeah. So my number one habit actually started early, right? Believe it or not, when I first started my entrepreneurial journey. Back when I was drop shipping, I actually got scammed $4,000, right? And I thought I was on top of the world. I hit my first 1K day drop shipping. I sort of figured it out. I wasn't really sure what I was doing. And then eventually ended up being scammed $4,000 from my supplier. Never fulfilled any of the orders at all, right? So from that moment, I had two options. Either I could give up, quit everything, go back to school, keep doing what I was doing, or I could just keep going, forget about it, and use that as past experience onto what I'm building in the future. So from there, I realized the number one habit to successful entrepreneurs is to basically never give up, right? And that's huge. And if I did give up, who knows what I would be doing right now? Maybe I would be out playing basketball, in the gym, hanging out with my friends. But because of that one habit, my life has completely taken a different path.
Right. You're big on the resilience and never giving up. We got the story about Michael Jordan getting cut from, his freshman basketball team and not making it. You got the story of Elon Musk. He sold PayPal and had to dump all his profits into his next two ventures and went dead broke, borrowing rent money from people. Like, people that are like ultra successful, high level successful, they just don't give up. Like, no matter what the world may look like for a time, or, a short period of like people would call it failure, but it's not necessarily failure. It's just lessons that you need to learn. It's just the world telling you, hey, you got something else you need to learn first. So that's huge. The habits that helped you get there were that resilience. When it comes down to, connecting with people, because obviously, you're doing things that honestly, I had the mindset, but I didn't do what you did at your age. Like I was there, but not doing what you do. I was focused on real estate. What is the biggest thing with how you connect with other people around your age that may not be on that same path? Like, have you had to, cut off some people that weren't on the same wavelength? They weren't trying to work how you were trying to work. How did it come with making like quality connections like that?
Yeah, so when it comes to connections and just cutting off people in general, you have to realize that the people you hang around the most are the people who you're going to be like, right? You've heard the saying, you are the sum of your 5 closest people, right? And that's 100% true. So you need to look around yourself. Who are the people you're hanging out with? What are they doing? Are they drinking? Are they smoking? Are they partying? What are their behavioral habits looking like, right? You need to analyze that, and then from there you need to see, is this what I want my life to look like in the future, right? So you need to analyze that. You need to see that. And then from there, you can make a decision. Should I keep hanging out with them? Should I cut them off? Look at your goals. Are their goals aligning to them, right? From there, you can set a picture on what you want your life to look like in the future and start picking and choosing a group that really aligns with your passion and your goals.
That's huge. I like to transition that to discipline, because a lot of people, they talk about discipline, but I don't necessarily believe in the whole typical discipline doctrine. I believe in creating an environment that only allows for success. When you cut off the friends that are doing the negative habits and you surround yourself with people that are high level driving towards success, actually doing what you want to do, it's like you turn your default path to success. Everyone else wants their default path to be on like negative behaviors. Like you smoking, I mean, hey, you think it's just something you do on the weekends, but really, smoking goes down a dark path. I know, as a counselor working in the addictions field, like I see people who started off as, this is fun, and then now their entire life is consumed by those negative habits. But the big thing, creating an environment that supports success, is the only option. That sounds like what you did by connecting with people early, and a lot of people can learn from that. But talking about, general mindset, current events, the way that the world is moving, you got so many people that are younger who are learning about these new industries and becoming successful in areas that the last generation didn't have. How do you feel about the parenting side of things? Have you with your parents, like, has it been easy for them to explain it, like, hey, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm making 6 figures plus online? Did they understand it? How were their thoughts on your your business endeavors, and exactly the entrepreneurship route that you took?
Yeah, so when it comes to parenting and parents, right, a lot of people like to look at their parents and judge them for not being successful, judge them for not, making $1 million, for not having a huge house. And the truth is, you can't really judge them because they haven't had access to the same information that you've had, right? Because now we've got the internet. I can search up on my phone, how do I make $1,000 in a day online? Your father didn't have that same opportunity. So for him, it must have been a lot harder. And second of all, for him, he definitely doesn't understand what you're doing simply because he didn't have access to all that information. So when it comes to my personal situation and my parents, they know what I'm doing and they definitely respect it. They don't totally understand what I'm doing, not quite yet, but they sort of see the angle that I'm heading towards, and I try to explain it to them. But they definitely see my vision. They're supportive, right? You obviously have to show them proof that you're making money. You have to show them that you're actually hardworking. You have to show them your vision. And then once you show them all that stuff, from there, they'll be able to be like, okay, son, I support you. Go out and do what you want to do.
That's huge. That's really huge. I was in a blessed position as well. My parents didn't necessarily force school. They allowed me to get into real estate investing. They allowed me to go and pursue my entrepreneur endeavors. And that's why I'm big into creating a environment of wealth. We talk about owning assets, businesses, real estate. We don't necessarily talk about, working a job for the rest of your life and like finding a good career, because ultimately, if your goal is wealth, then it's about ownership, owning assets. You own a business, you help businesses grow. Like that's an asset. Your business is an asset. So that's huge. So we're getting into the networking component because I want to talk about connecting deeply. The one thing I've noticed is getting into those rooms where successful people are at, like you said, the gym. Like, honestly, the best investments you can make at a young age is to go to like a premium gym where you have a lot of successful people, like a Lifetime or a Equinox, or like these gyms that are like high level where you're going to be meeting successful people who are frankly hard workers because you're successful and you're on top of your health. Like, yeah, those are the people you want to be around. What are your networking tips? Like, how did you be able to relate at a younger age? Because I was in the same position, like literally graduating high school, 17 years old. I meet my real estate investor mentor who is like 60 plus, been investing in real estate since 18 years old. How did you bridge that gap of connecting with people older and more mature so that you could, jump past those lessons they had to learn the hard way?
Yeah, so when it comes to networking, it's kind of like analyzing a chessboard, right? You have to look at these different entrepreneurs, right? And you have to see where they're hanging out, where they're eating, where they're spending their time, what they're doing in their free time, right? You start to pick up these pieces, and then from there you can be like, okay, all these entrepreneurs are going to the gym that costs $250 a month, right? If I want to be surrounded by these people, I have to be inside of this environment, okay? And something that a lot of people don't know is actually this previous winter, I was driving every single day from here to a 45-minute drive downtown to the premium gym right there because I knew I was going to meet successful people there, right? It was an investment on my end, and it did plan out, and it worked good because I was able to meet some huge faces there and obviously network with them, help each other out. But I would definitely say you have to figure out where these people are spending their time, and you have to figure out how you can get into the same rooms, judging off where they're located.
That's huge. And you talk about investing into yourself. Obviously, I talk about real estate investments and holding assets, businesses, and in stocks, whatever your investments. But investing is like a way of life. It's not necessarily like something you do because of real estate or business. Like, investing is putting, short term pleasure away and like working on long term accomplishments. Like, instead of wasting 250 on like some cheap bottle at a club, you can go ahead and like invest 250 in a gym membership, get around people that are gonna 10, 20, 100 times X that investment. Because it's just how the world works, is that in order to get something more for your life, you have to invest now for later and greater returns. That's huge. How else have you like implemented investment into your life? Investing, whether it's time, energy, anything else.
Investing is huge, and a lot of people don't really look at investing the way I do. One of the best ways to invest your money is into education. Obviously, we all know that. That's huge, right? And what a lot of people sort of give backlash on is courses, info products, communities, stuff like that. There's a lot of area where people think it's sort of a scam and they don't necessarily trust it. But that's not necessarily the case, right? Because in these communities, you can meet people who are huge in industries, right? If you show them that you're hustling, right, and if you show them that you're putting in the work, you could definitely network with these big brand names from communities and stuff like that, right? Same with courses, same with, info products. If you invest into things like these, you can easily, gain a 10x return on your investment simply because you're learning value from other people as if you're networking with them, right? Like me and you are sitting down right now talking. You can get the same value from an info product online or a course, right? But a lot of people don't take that route because they see that $25 a month label sticker. They don't take that route because they see the money, but they don't understand that that's how you can actually gain a return, on your investment and start to learn and expand your mind.
Yeah, that's huge. Investing in the courses is like a necessity in 2024, like in going forward. It's probably been a necessity for a while now, but it's definitely a necessity that you buy courses and you actually invest into your education. I remember when I was graduating high school, 2020, COVID, everything changed. I decided to not play basketball because I couldn't travel. Parents wouldn't let me travel to the schools that were recruiting me, so I just switched up completely and said, okay, time to make money, time to focus on my financial future. And I had barely any money to my name. I had graduation gifts to my name where I had about 2,500 in my account, just like graduation money from people sending money and things like that. And I remember my real estate investor mentor, he reached out to me and said that the community that helped me learn real estate investing, they have a course about real estate and about how to buy your property and learn the laws, the rules, regulations around things, and how to buy profitable real estate and not just buy real estate. And it was pretty much all my money I had saved up. I remember it like it was yesterday. All my money I had saved up, I spent it, invested in myself, made it work, and turning 19, I bought my first profitable real estate asset. And then now, like, the biggest thing, like you said, now that I've done it, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to turn around, I'm going to make a course on how to buy your first asset. Because if someone like me at 19, like, actually pivoting from basketball to real estate investing can do it profitably, there are so many people that are waiting to kind of pull that trigger that just need the right education, need the right motivation, and the right community behind them.
100%. Yeah. So you would say your investment was worth it?
Of course. There's no doubt in my mind that if you buy a course, if you buy into a community, if you buy into some sort of digital product in general, you will see a return on your investment as long as you're willing to do the work. The work has to be done. There's no one that's going to just sit there, give you courses. It's not like school where, like, you're going to go ahead and get A, B, C, D, or F because you didn't, do the homework. Like, no. In real life, you're going to get this information. You're going to either act on it and see results, or act on it, not see results. If you don't see results, that means that you did something wrong and you did not iterate. You need to get feedback. That's why communities are so powerful, because now I can tap into the community. I can talk to people doing it with me, like, hey, I got stuck here. Why didn't this work? I'll run you through everything I did. Tell me where I went wrong, especially when you got teachers, at the higher levels telling you. Like, there's no doubt in my mind. I mean, I got in rooms of investors that were all 50 plus that owned 50 units of apartment buildings, and like I got to actually ask them questions, not only the guy that personally mentored me, but the guy that actually all these guys that were doing it as well. So big on communities. That's why I know that what you're doing, no doubt in my mind, is the future. Like, people aren't going to be going to college all the time anymore if they don't know what they want to do. They're going to find people online who are doing what they want to do, who they're interested in. They're going to buy courses, and they're going to either make those courses work for them, or they're going to, they're going to have to learn how to make those courses work for them, because the courses work. It's just, are you going to execute?
For sure. And there's not every type of person can make courses work, right? So if you're that kid in school, like, who's not willing to do their homework unless someone's pushing you to do it, courses aren't going to work out for you. Like, there needs to be a point in time where you realize that nobody is going to do something for you in life other than yourself, right? And that was huge for me. Like, I realized that if I wasn't going to pick myself up and make changes to my life and sort of remove myself from the situation that I was in, I wasn't going to see any results, right? So nobody's going to take action other than you, which is why I preach that, right? It's huge for me. So 100%, yeah.
Yeah, not just, the biggest thing too is building accountability into your life. A lot of times we start out with this structure with parents and them telling us what to do and things like that, and they slowly pull it away so that the things that you didn't really want to do but they knew you should do, you stop doing them because it's like, oh yeah, my parents not behind me anymore. But in real life, there's going to be things that you don't want to do that are necessary for you to get your goals, and you have to do them. There's not going to be anybody that's going to be sitting around saying, hey, did you do the work you're supposed to do today? Like, you're going to be sitting around in your room, and either you're going to have gotten everything done that you needed to get done, or you're not going to have to. And you're going to start distrusting yourself, because why would you even trust yourself if you know that everything you said you were going to do, you didn't do? And you're the only person that knows behind closed doors if you're getting that work done or not. No one knows. And that's why it's so huge connecting with different professionals, because it's like, when I'm around people doing well, I'm like, okay, we got to keep, like, that's why you're the average of the 5 friends you hang out with the most, because, if you're doing well, oh yeah, I got to stay up to date, or like, I'm getting left behind. My friends are traveling to Miami and they're traveling all over the place and doing all these amazing things. Where am I at? I'm not doing what I said I'm supposed to be doing. So that's huge. But let's tap in a little bit on the growth operating side of things. Content. Content is big right now, man. People, you need content. I say it right now. You need content. I don't care what industry you're in. if you want to take control of your life and your time and how people see you, you know, what is your brand? Because we all have a brand. It's just a matter of if your brand is online or if your brand is just the people that know you when you casually walk into a room. But ultimately, we all have a brand. So content, if you want to build a positive message intentionally about yourself, you need it. What are some content tips that you've learned since you've been in this growth operating space, helping creators monetize their brands?
For sure. Content is the future, 100%. And if you're not pushing out content, you're not bettering yourself, you're not bettering your name, you're not bettering your brand. It's going to be 10 times more harder for you to get in the rooms with people that you want to get into if you don't have a brand, right? And it sounds so absurd, like, oh, you don't have a blue check mark, you can't come into this room. But that's the reality of how some rooms operate today, right? Especially in 2024. So I would 100% tell everyone, you know, who's watching this, start your own brand, start posting content, because eventually you will need to get to a point where you have your own audience, especially if you want to make money online, right? The easiest way to make money online is to monetize your own audience, okay? Sell like a info product or, you know, a community to your audience. It's the best way to make money. And number two, people will start to recognize you for what you do. You'll be invited to better rooms. Your life will expand and continue to grow, etc.
That's huge. You'll notice that the people who do well hang out together.
Right.
And that's the biggest thing. And with today's the easy access to information and the ability to like learn more about people, like there'll be people like I said, like that I've never met personally, but you know, knowing, staying educated around what's going on financial space, you know, just what things are necessarily for our generation to do. When I met you, I knew that like, oh yeah, if you're doing this, then I know you probably know of these people. Like,
Right,
and that's
right.
how, you know, I connected with you. And it's like, you see when people are doing well, they stay connected because they have these brands. The brand was so big that to the point where I just knew, you know, what he was doing. And now I know that you guys are connected. So that's always a good thing. When in terms of building that personal brand though, some people are just so scared to post, man. Some
Yeah.
people are so scared to post. Like what,
100%,
what's
yeah.
gonna happen? Like I'm actually really convinced that people really care so much about what people think.
Yeah.
And like, there's people that follow me still that unfollow me because I started posting content. I was like, okay, that's
Yeah.
fine. We're not built the same anymore. What are some of your tips for people who have that just fear of judgment? What would you say to them?
Man, this used to be an issue for me for sure, right? And right now, currently, I have 1,100 followers, okay? And mark my words, in 6 months from now, I'll be viral and I'll have at least 20K plus. But back before I even started posting content, right, I always had some type of doubt in my mind, like, oh, what if this dude sees it? What if he's laughing, right? What if he thinks I'm cringe? What if he thinks I'm corny? Who cares? Like, who cares? You're bettering yourself. You're putting your name out there. You are developing your marketing aspect when it comes to what you can do and what you can provide for the marketplace, right? And other people don't understand that. If you want to get into online business, other people aren't going to understand that content is the future, right? And you just simply need to keep that in mind if you want to post content. You need to cut off everyone who thinks it's cringe or corny, because they're going to get to you right here.
Right. With the mindset being the foundation, you have to protect the information that's getting in your head. And if you have people that kind of doubt, you know, the reality of the situation, that people are making money online, that personal brands and having a good reputation online is important, then you definitely cannot be around them in this day and age. But it's just really big on having that entrepreneurial mindset and it's truly about having the mindset of a consumer versus a creator, because a lot of people are on social media just to consume. Like literally, they just consume, they scroll, they don't do anything. And truly, like even creators, they scroll, but they scroll researching. They're researching what type of trends are going on in the market right now. How can I, you know, add a little bit of this viral meme to my post to where it gets better retention? Like we're researching, we're not scrolling. But most people are really scrolling for entertainment. Like they're scrolling for that quick dopamine hit. So when someone's a consumer and they're not necessarily looking through the lens of a creator, it seems crazy. So that's why it's so important connecting with people with like-minded goals. So it's like now we're all on the same page. Let's do it. Let's run it up. And I'm looking forward to your brand growing. I'm looking forward to seeing that as well. And I know that, you know, a lot of the work that you've been putting in, man, just keeping the foot on the gas and doing everything you need to do. I know you're going to be like top very soon when you're already doing good. You're going to be up there. But let's talk about a little bit more into like the growth operating details of how someone would get started. Like if you were to reach out to like a kid, let's say there's a kid, not from the best situation, he doesn't have the best family, but he sees that like there's these opportunities online to make money today. Like there's these opportunities online to make money that his parents didn't have. Maybe doesn't have the best supportive parents, but he wants to get involved. He wants to somehow find a way to get started making money online. Where does that person start today? Where would you recommend that person start?
The number one thing I would do is I would recommend that that person needs to understand that attention equals money. Okay. So people with likes, clicks, views, followers, all of this stuff equates to money, right? Companies are paying thousands of dollars for marketing, right? But people are getting all that traction for free and they're not doing anything with it, right? They're not selling any type of product. They're not selling any type of community, right? They're not monetizing their audience and they're making no money from it when they're sitting on a gold mine, right? So number one, you need to understand that attention equals money. Okay. Number two, you need to understand how you can get involved into this timeline where a creator's not making money but they're getting tons of attention. You need to realize, how can I get in between these two things, right? And from there, that's when you start to do outreach. You start to reach out to the creator. You say, hey, look, I have a proposal for you. I think we can make a ton of money if you listen to what I'm saying. Okay. And then from there, you use sales, you give them a pitch, you jump on a call with them, you tell them, look, I want to monetize your audience. I want to help you make money, but also I want to make some money myself. Okay. This is going to be a win-win situation for both of us. I'm not going to charge you anything. Okay. And we're just going to make money together, but you just need to trust me. Okay. And trust is huge when you're getting into growth operating, because a lot of influencers are like, okay, but why do I need you? Why can't I do this by myself? You need to pitch them on the idea that in order to go far in life, you need a partner. Okay. And if you want to, go fast in life, you might not need a partner, but in order for long-term stuff, you need someone to work with. You need someone to handle the back-end systems. You need someone to manage teams, right? And you need to pitch them on that idea. And from there, you guys can start monetizing, building, planning, executing, etc.
That's huge, especially on the portion about trust. I remember I was doing, I had an agency where I was doing, like, I actually did get into SMMA, but I specifically did it for doctors. And I definitely didn't like them as much as for clients, because some of the doctors are hard to work with, I would say. But when it came down to actually doing the work, it was big on trust. Like, how do I sell myself to somebody that I'm going to be the person that working with me would make things easier on them, that I'm actually going to be a good fit for partnership? And ultimately I found that building the trust early and like selling myself, because they ultimately going to trust you. Like, I have the knowledge, I can give you the details, we can sit here and talk all day about like content, what content strategy we're going to use, scheduling, like how we're going to iterate week after week after looking at numbers, or like which content did the best. But ultimately you're selling yourself. Like, how do they trust you? And just going back around to that, building the trust with creators that are a little bit older, I guess, and more experienced in the creating space. How do you build the trust? How do you get them to say, okay, this is the guy, this is the guy?
Like you said earlier, it's all about how you represent yourself, right? And what's the number one thing that creators see when they first click on your profile? Your content. And this goes back to content, what we were saying earlier. Content is huge because it represents you, right? And creators are going to look at that. So if you have a good page set up, if you've got good videos, if you're followed by some people, who are big in the industry, right? If you look representable on your social page, the trust from there will, raise a little bit higher. Okay. Once you jump on the call with them, from there, you need to speak to them like they're an actual human being, right? Don't sweat it out. Don't be nervous. Obviously you're trying to make some money, but they're humans too. So you look them in the eyes and you tell them, look, I want to make some money with you. Here's what I can provide for you. I'm not going to charge you anything. You tell me if you want to partake in this or not. I know what I'm doing. I'm an expert. It's up to you. You get what I'm saying? So you need to sort of let them know that you're an actual human being, right? And that you can actually provide some sort of value for them so they can make money, and that you're not sort of just scamming them, and they know that you're going to make money from it as well.
Right, that's huge, especially with coming across as a human. Sales calls, some people were like really script like. I just was talking to somebody about that that's in sales, and people are really script like they aren't human. But like at the end of the day, we're just people, helping each other out. So when I am hopping on the sales call, it's a little bit similar with off market real estate deals. Like I'll talk to a potential seller. And I'm like, hey, I buy real estate. I've been in this for a while. I've been investing in real estate since I was 19. How do we actually, figure something out to where selling your property to me is in your best interest? If we can't figure something out, truly, I want to make sure that you get the best out of this situation. But truly, I want you to understand, who I am, what I'm about, my values, and the technical details. I know them, but I want to make sure that you understand I'm someone you can trust. Truly, selling myself, my integrity, I would say, your characteristics, not necessarily what you do. Because people get so caught up in what they do, man. Like, imagine getting caught up in basketball as your identity. No, I'm a hard worker. I play basketball, but I'm a hard worker anywhere I step into. So if I apply it to, content, I'm working hard. We're going to get this done. I'm going to figure out how to grow on this platform and take all the resources I need to grow. And same thing with real estate investing. Everywhere you step, your character traits go with you, but what you're doing doesn't necessarily go with you. That's what makes the difference between someone who is, just a growth operator or they're buying you. Like they
It's funny you said that because I get a lot of questions, people asking me like, okay, I've never done this before, but how am I going to pitch somebody who's getting thousands of other people who are experts? I've never done this before. How can I make this work? You need to sell them on the aspects like he was just saying earlier, integrity, hard work, right? You need to have the characteristics that some people might not have, right? You can get experts jump on these sales calls and they'll be like, okay, this is what I've done, boom, 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 and they'll be all robotic. But if you can sell someone on your characteristics, you can say, look, I may not have the experience, but what I do have is I have hard work, I have integrity, and you have my trust, and we can run it up together.
Right, and that's huge. I can't remember who I saw say that in terms of selling them on your character traits, but they were talking about how a bigger agency or someone that's more established will have a less likely chance of looking at you as a human and working on that trust basis. But for me, I'm a hardworking individual, and I promise you, I want to make this work not only for myself but for you. And the only way we can continue working together is if this works for you. So I guarantee you, with my actual brand on the line, with who I am on the line, I'm telling you this will get done and get done the right way. And that's truly how you have to run it when you're starting out. Like that's how I got my first sales in SMMA, real estate. Like when it comes to off market deals, like I sold myself. They didn't buy from me because I was somebody that could talk to you about, setting up real estate contracts or, putting out content or copyright or anything like that. They bought from me, for me. So, personal development, yeah, relationships, personal development, on that end. What are your takes on that? What are some things you do around personal development, developing yourself so you are a more, let's say, a higher level person to sell? Sales is everything. So you're selling yourself. What do you do to develop yourself so that you are more attractive to people who want to work with you?
So the personal development space, there's a lot of heat in there right now. I'm not sure if you've seen it, but a lot of people like to go online and post, yo, I did an ice bath today. I went in the sauna, I meditated, I read 45 minutes. And I think all of that's just bluff, right? If people aren't doing the necessary actions, like we were saying earlier, to get what they want done, okay? When it comes to personal development, I narrow it down super specific, right? I hit the gym, I get my work done, and I do any extra things that I need to do, right? I cut out all the bluff, people talking about meditation. It's just all mental masturbation, right? You need to cut it down to a super specific routine that you can stick to every single day, getting done 3 core things on your checklist.
Mm. That's huge. I do believe in cutting out the fluff. I think that a lot of times, I'm a psychologist, guys. I'm a counselor professionally, so I'm big into psychology. I think that a lot of people have different methods of doing things, but I really have always geared towards the side of just getting things done, because ultimately the motivation isn't always there. Let's be realistic. Sometimes we got to get some work done. It's like, man, I would much rather do this right now, but I got to get this done. So that's what's going to happen. So it's really big on, being practical. How do I get this done without letting my emotions get in the way. Because that's truly what a lot of people do. Fear of failure. There's fear, their emotions get in the way of them doing anything. Business. Like, there's people, success stories all the time. Oh, yeah, I went bankrupt. Like, I actually went bankrupt on this business, but now I'm a multimillionaire. Like, so many people fail before they succeed. But if you're fearing failure, you're basically saying that you don't want success either. Because the reality is, just like we talked about earlier, school makes you seem like, yeah, you're gonna study something and take a test and get an A. Whoopee, like, no, like, bro, you end up learning, going from like step 1 to 5, realizing you missed a step, you go to 3 and like, oops, I missed something at number 2, so let me go back here, and then like that's how life is. Like, we're not. This isn't a straight line. This is something we do to actually. This is for where risk takers are. Honestly, this is where risk takers are. Take risks, calculated risks, obviously, to make sure we can protect against downside. Hopefully, there's some people that don't have risk management, like with stocks, and you can lose an entire portfolio really quick. But in real life, it's about managing risks. Realizing what risks are worth the reward, and you go ahead and take them, and you go ahead and go hard, so that hopefully this is the one that pans out for you. And whether you win or lose, there's a lesson always there. That's huge. It's really huge. Um, let's get into a little bit about actual today's day and age with like current events, because we're living in some interesting times, man. Like, at being young and like actually doing things that are positive and not necessarily messing around. Like when you're a critical thinker about things, sometimes people will like come in there and try to disrupt how you think or disrupt how you behave. Like, I'm sure you've been a part of this, seeing people that don't necessarily work as hard as you telling you like, oh, just slow down, relax, you can take time, and you're like, I like doing what I'm doing, I like working. Same thing with like people who see you doing what you're doing. I'm like, oh, that seems kind of risky. I'm like, yeah, I want that type of risk though. Like, you're risky because you're doing something else. Like, you're stuck in a situation where you don't control your time. I control my time. But what would you say about today's environment of like just everything going on with people who are too lax? I would say people are really lax about life. Like, we're actually in a time period where ever since 2020 COVID, when they printed like a ton of the money in the United States, inflation's been nuts. People need to actually realize that, okay, we're in a position where we have to work hard so that we can, actually live out our dreams and recognize opportunities. Where do you feel like that stands in terms of the people you're around, and not just people you're around, but people you've had to cut off? What is your problem with the thought process of like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna wait till later?
Sure. Something a lot of people need to realize is that the money printer never stops printing. Same with time. Both of those things are always going 24/7. They don't ever stop, right? And you need to realize that if you're going to spend your time, let's say partying, drinking, smoking, relaxing, having fun, time is running out. You're wasting out on money. From there, you're not going to be able to achieve what you want in life, etc. Like I said earlier, it all comes down to what goals you have in mind. But for me personally, I don't want to live a life where when I die and I'm on my deathbed, I'm like, man, I could have done better, right? Stuff like, man, I could have bought that house if I tried a little bit harder. Do you get what I'm saying? So the money printer never stops, time never runs out, and people need to realize that when you're jumping into things, don't waste time, be serious about it, don't take off days, fully focus in for 1 year and see where your life takes you. I fully focused in for 1 year, and I was able to go from making $0 a month to $10,000 plus a month, right? So if you just lock in for 1 year and you realize that, look, my time is valuable, I can really make something happen if I just focus, you'll be able to achieve anything you want.
Right. That's huge. Lock in for a year, man. Like, so many people can't even focus on one thing for a year. I told people, like, actually, I had told people, because I was 17 when I graduated, just turning 18, right when I found like my mentor and stuff. And like from 18 to 19, I just sat there and focused on like buying a rental property, realized how to do that. And I'm like, okay, if it's this simple, why is there people like in their 40s or 50s doing this and like not necessarily making the progress yet? Because I could tell you step by step everything I did, and I can actually adapt it to your situation. Be like, okay, you have more expenses than I have, so that means you got to work, you got to make this much more money. How are you going to do that? Are you going to take a side hustle? Like, you can get anything done. It's just like, what are you willing to do to be successful? And you'll realize very quickly that some people will like cut themselves off. Like, when you say, yeah, I'm going to work this many hours, be like, oh no, I don't want that. That's work-life balance. Like, Like, hold up. We're talking about achieving an outcome. We're not talking about work-life balance yet. Like Alex Harmozy talks about, what season are you in? Like some seasons overall, over your entire life, you'll be balanced. But in some seasons, you got your head down. You're isolated. You're grinding. You're learning. You're moving the needle. Some people cannot fathom the fact that like for a year you're not going to a club. Like I didn't go out, I didn't party, I didn't do anything. Like no, like strictly real estate. And then from there, it's not like I was only doing real estate either. I was able to become a counselor. I got my credentials. Like I did a lot of stuff in that time period. But you have to lock in and have a focus and say, I'm not letting go of this focus until it's done. It has to be done. Now, once you get there, time to set another goal. You have to set another goal, another thing to strive towards, or else you'll end up, tricking off your money at the club and things like that. But how are you on goal setting? What do you think the goal setting behind this? How do you effectively set goals? Because some people set them, say, I want to do this, never do anything. How do you effectively set those goals?
Goal setting. I think without goals, without a vision ahead, you'll never get to that end point. If you're just doing stuff randomly, how are you going to know what to do in order to get to your end point, right? I'm also big on manifestation, right? Something I've done, throughout this entire year was I woke up, right? I pictured what I wanted my life to be like. I pictured how much money I wanted to come into my bank account. I pictured my dream social circle. I pictured what I was doing every day. I pictured who I was surrounding myself by, right? I pictured my dream car. You need to be able to picture these things so you can actually work towards something, right? Because if you're just doing things every single day that aren't adding up, you'll never get to where you want to in life. And goal setting is huge. So when it comes to setting these goals effectively, you have to literally take a pen and paper, write down, look, I want to do this, this, and this all by the month of May. Okay. One of my biggest goals was hitting my first 10K month. And I wrote down this paper. I actually wrote a letter to myself back in September. And on this letter, I wrote down how much money I wanted to make. I wrote down what I wanted my life to be like, my dream social circle, etc. Okay. I sealed the envelope, put it away, didn't look at it for like 6 months. May comes around and I did exactly what was written on that letter. So when you have a dream and an image in your head, you have to keep pushing towards it. You have to keep working towards it, because if you're not doing that, you're just going to get gapped.
That's huge, especially from the nerd perspective of me. Like the connection between you actually writing something down and typing it is like different. I actually wrote my goals down. Like I literally sat down, had when I was 18, sat down, had a 1-year plan, 3-year plan, 5-year plan, and 10-year plan. Now 10 years is far out there. 3 may seem far out there, but I guarantee you, ever since I wrote those down, I have hit every single goal. It was a pretty like conservative goal. It was like millionaire status, where, you'll get there and like have your first property, have your first business, got it all done and hit the benchmarks needed to get done. But so many people don't necessarily set those goals. They're the type of people that like, I wish type of people. Like, I wish I could do this, or, I want to do this. Like, no, I'm going to do this. This is going to happen. When I finish doing this, the next goal is going to be this, 10 years. But then I got to reverse engineer it. So if I want this in 10, what do I have to do today? And some people never even break down the math, like simple math. Like, in the growth operating space, what you need to do in order to hit your 10K months. And a lot of people have these goals, but they never reverse engineer it. They don't reverse engineer it to say, okay, if I want this, I have to do this. Especially you can tell when people, like, when it comes to like weight loss, like, bro, like, come on, man. Like, I don't know how many times I have to talk about calories in and calories out, bro. Like obviously you can work out, like lifting is good because muscle burns more calories than fat, but like, let's keep it real. Like, even if you weren't lifting, if you sit down and actually track your calories, like you would lose weight, like you would. And it's kind of interesting, but goals, man, like really effectively setting those.
Don't actually realize, like, this is your life in your hands. Like, this is your life we're talking about. Like, if you actually want to have a good life, you need to get serious. And people just can't understand that. Like, people will go out, hang out with their friends, right? There's nothing wrong with hanging out with your friends, but you need to spend your time efficiently. Like, this is your life that we're talking about. It's not just a video game, right? 10, 20, 30 years from now, you'll be sitting down like, man, I really wish I could have done this, this, and this. And you'll start to regret things. And that's something I picked up on, talking to older people from other generations, talking to my father, their friends, etc. A lot of people, from that generation tell me that it's super important to lock in right now while you're young and figure out what you want your life to be like, because you don't want to be an old man sitting, in your deathbed thinking, man, I really wish I could have gotten that one last try for that business or something like that. So, yeah.
That's huge. I realized very young that there is no reason to not take your life seriously. I remember when I was around 12 years old and my grandmother passed away. And I remember at that moment I was lost. I was like really, really down because my grandmother was like the light, the light in all the darkness. Growing up, you know, I felt I was this anxious kid, this kid that kind of, didn't necessarily fit in. So, being around her and, she being the one that kind of raised me was like amazing. And when you lose that, I realized like this life is so short. Like you only have the amount of time that you take seriously to put in the effort that's necessary for you to achieve what you want to achieve. And people who don't take life seriously don't realize that if you don't sacrifice now, you're going to sacrifice something. You're either sacrificing the life that you want to live or you're going to sacrifice the fun now for the long-term accomplishments and achievements later. So that's really huge. When it comes down to helping other people, because I'm sure you've seen people grow and develop. You've seen people that you've passed up, and you've also seen people grow and actually develop out of the like negative mindset of like, oh yeah, it's all fun and games, to like, hey, oh man, I actually want to take this seriously, bro. What are you doing? Like, how can I get a part of it? How have you seen people's beliefs develop, and what do you feel like has been like the big catalyst, like for people to actually change and develop into that? All right, my life is serious. It's time to take it seriously now.
So, a lot of people have recently been asking me, how do I get into what you're doing? Do you have any tips? Do you have any advice, etc.? Right? And I love helping people, and a lot of my previous friends that reached out to me, I would love to help them, but knowing them and knowing how they treated everything in high school puts a picture in my head like, yo, this dude's not serious. Why would I help him? Why would I waste my time out of my day to see him succeed if, he wasn't able to get 100 shots up a day playing basketball? You get what I'm saying? So when it comes to helping people, you've got to build up a persona around yourself that you're actually serious about what you do, because how you treat one thing is how you treat everything, right? So if you're dozing off, at practice or something like that, and then you want to get into online business and start your first, company, how do you expect to make $10,000, $50,000, $100,000 per month if you won't even take a simple thing like, staying in line at a practice or something like that seriously? You get what I'm saying? So I think building up a persona around yourself at an early age is definitely huge when it comes to getting help from others. And that's definitely how I look at it when it comes to people asking me for help.
That's huge. You hit on the nail. Like how you do one thing is how you do everything. You have to work past the old version of yourself sometimes, and it's hard to like work with people who are still working out of that. Like everyone has a vice. Sometimes it's like a specific area, but if you have like a overall like overarching identity issue, like everything you didn't take seriously. Like you can tell guys that like even in sports, like they weren't like the guy that took anything seriously. They were like late to like practice. They were like the last guy to walk in the gym when it's time to get started, like stuff like that. And then they would like leave early for different things. Like how you do one thing is how you do everything, like you said. And when it comes down to helping people, you really have to make sure they're ready, because you're not going to do the work for them, and you don't want to waste your time with people who seriously like aren't going to actually do the work. But that's huge. Making sure that we kind of touch a little bit more on the like levels of habits, because I wanted to talk on the habits that people can get started like right now when it comes to content creation. Do you think there's a bigger opportunity with people partnering with creators? Or do you think people should create their own personal brands? Do you think right now if you're a clean slate right out of high school, it's probably best you do both? It's probably both.
Why miss out on the opportunity of working with other creators, and why miss out on the opportunity of starting your own brand? You could simply do both, right? Show people what you do, show people how you help them. That at the same time, that will build up your own personal brand, which you can use for your marketing, right? You can market to other creators how you were able to help them. You can start to build up an audience. You can start to teach them, etc. So I would definitely say both. Yeah.
That's huge. I definitely think that people need to have their own brand, but also keep, what they do to make money at the front of it as well. Like some people don't necessarily do what they so for example, for me, like professionally, I am a counselor, but online I do a lot of other things. Like I'm definitely gonna have digital products in the community in the future for sure. But I have to build the brand now because attention. You need attention. You need people to know what you do. You need to build the brand around yourself. So I know that it is important for me to collaborate with people doing well like yourself and us to like build a brand so that not only can you help people grow in a positive way, through my profession as a counselor, but I can touch many lives that they may never even see me in person, but they saw something I said online that resonated with them. They're like, oh yeah, I want to learn this from him. So it's so big. You can just have a bigger impact too. And when things are all said and done, obviously, bro, you're like the youngest person out here doing it, taking care of, business when it comes to making money online that I know, that I've met for sure. Um, how do you see things going for you in the future in terms of just overall impact? Like, what are you planning on doing? Like the state that you're seeking, of that financial freedom, the wealth. What is that gonna feed into for you? What are your plans on terms of like, if you said I had this ultimate life goal or vision, is there something you thought of? Is that something you have at this point?
So this is something I've been thinking about a lot recently, and I would say when it comes to my ultimate life goal, I would like to say that I've truly been able to enjoy existence, right? Truly been able to enjoy existence. Obviously, I'd want to help people, right? But at the end of the day, you want to be able to say that, I lived a good life, right? I truly enjoyed what I did every single day. I truly enjoyed how I woke up, spent my time. I spent it wisely. I don't have any regrets. So, my number one goal would be obviously to truly enjoy your existence. Number two is change people's lives because that's one of the biggest impacts you can leave once you jump off this earth, right? If you're able to change millions of lives, you're able to create an impact so large that even when you leave this earth, people will still remember who you are.
Yep, that's huge. Do you ever think about doing anything in the future with, like book distribution, like books, media in that sense? Because you got content, video. You ever think of doing anything, a book, autobiography, anything like that?
Content, honestly, I would say eliminates the need for books in today's day and age, but books are still super important because it gives you more of like a personal feel to what you're reading and what you're learning, right? And I enjoy reading books, and I think thousands of other people enjoy reading books as well. But the only way I would sort of see myself getting into book distribution, becoming an author, etc., is if I want to reach people all across the globe, right? Even when they're traveling, it's kind of like having a personal assistant from your side helping other people while they're traveling, etc., on the go. So books, that's something I would look into, when I'm getting a little bit older because I love writing and I love to read. But I definitely think content is sort of eliminating the need for books in today's day and age.
Yeah, definitely. One of the beautiful things about today's day and age is that um, you can have a portfolio of videos of your entire life if you start creating content young. Like even the people that don't necessarily take social media seriously, I don't think they look at what social media is and like really value it for what it is. Because there's gonna be people, for sure, attention is always gonna be somewhere online. So I don't care if Instagram or Facebook is it. There's gonna be somewhere, YouTube, like all these things. There's gonna be somewhere where all your content is gonna be. And unlike the past, like if you record and actually document your life in a meaningful way, you're gonna have kids that's able to go back to your content and see how you progressed. You're leaving the lessons for them. They're gonna be able to see like, oh, he was 18 and like he was doing this. Like, oh, I got something to live up to. I gotta actually like move quickly in my life and take my life seriously. So it's like it's a beautiful thing that by the time that you have kids and like by the time I have kids and things are all said and done, we keep documenting, we keep creating, we keep building a positive name around our image and our brand, and our kids will be able to watch and say, "Oh, he did it that way," and learn from our mistakes too. So like we're not just doing this for people that are, in the world right now that are our same age, but like our kids gonna look at this and have a head start because when the world, let's just say let's just say even the world didn't, remember me. Well, I know who is gonna remember me. My kids are gonna remember me, and they're gonna take all that information, all this stuff, and just jumpstart everybody. Because that's one of the things I realized too. Even if fame or I guess recognition wasn't there, because it is social media, you're gonna go viral if you're consistent and you consistently iterating. You're gonna do what you need to do. But what I will say is, let's just say that wasn't a part of it. Content creation would be pretty cool to leave a bunch of video documentation of all the progress I've ever made to my kids. Like, that's insane. Imagine you had all the progress from your dad or your mom or something from like 16, maybe 13, whatever. Like, you see throughout their entire life. And now they're not just these people that are telling you to do stuff. When they tell you a lesson or something, they're like, "Oh, I bet, go to my YouTube channel and look at my video on June 7th, 1980 something." Like, that would be insane. Like, it's a different way of the world. We're actually moving into something, I believe, that is gonna like completely transform how we parent, how we do everything. It's huge.
It's gonna
Um,
be interesting to see how it pans out.
Yeah, for sure. Do you have any tips or anything for people who are, let's just say, they not big into growth operating? They're professionals. They're like, I want to make content, but I don't know how. Or I want to make content, but you know, I think I actually solved this problem for myself. I want to create a digital product. Where do you start with creating a digital product or community? What do you think? Do you think they should seek someone to partner with? And if so, how much work do they have to do on their part with coming up with that curriculum? Like, they've solved that problem. How does the growth operator come in and help them?
So when it comes to the growth operating helping them, okay, a lot of content creators don't really realize what they want to sell. Like, they're unsure of what they can sell. Like, even my business partner who I'm working with to this day, he wasn't really sure what he could sell to his audience for it to be a hit. Okay. And it's not the creator's job to figure out what he can sell, it's the audience's job. You have to study the market and understand what they would be interested in buying. So, step number one, jump on market research calls. Start talking to their audience, book calls with their audience, post a question on the story and say, look, I'm looking to give away, a discount to something I'm working on if, 5 people are willing to jump on a call with me. You jump on a call with them, you ask them, look, how does your life look like? What would you feel like I could help you with, right? Would you be willing to pay for my help for this price? And from there, you start to understand and start building a product that could genuinely change people's lives, and you won't be ripping people off because you actually understand that, these people need help with this stuff, right? So that's step number one.
That's actually huge that you talked about that, finding that actual product based on what the market wants, not what you want to sell. Because, if the audience isn't willing to buy, then you're just, wasting time on something. And that's huge. You have people. I was just talking to someone who sells retail products, actually in retail locations and things like that. We were talking about that product market fit. Having an avatar, making sure they like the thing, and actually testing. Like, you like this, right? You're willing to pay this price. Now I know what price point I need to be at. That's gonna likely get more sales and all these different things. That's huge. Not just, and it's good that growth operators take the time to go and say, all right, don't worry about it. I'm gonna meet with your audience. We're gonna talk about what they will be willing to purchase from you and things like that. We're gonna get the pricing. We're gonna get everything together, and now that partnership does really create this synergy with people. What would be like next steps after you've done the market research and things like that for the creator?
The next steps after doing market research would be to initiate a launch, right? From there, you start to build out your product. But when it comes to building products, nobody really knows what they're building. You just kind of go as you go. You get what I'm saying? So even when Mark Zuckerberg was building Facebook, right? He didn't know what he was building. He was just doing what he pleased, right? And he kept going, and he ended up, creating this billion-dollar company, right? Where people are using profiles all across the world. So you don't really build out a product from the scratch, from the jump. What you do is you initiate into a launch. You start, teasing. You start saying, look, dropping this thing on July 15th that's going to change everybody's life, right? It's going to be huge. Stay on the lookout, okay? You keep teasing, right? You give them more details. You set up an email marketing system, which is what the growth operator would do, right? You start promoting it a little bit more. You create an Instagram channel, okay? You get everyone's SMS number, etc. And then from there, you initiate into a 1-week launch, okay? On this 1 week launch, you're going to build this creator a landing page. Okay, this is what the growth operator does. In this landing page, there's going to be a 15-minute video breaking down, basically kind of like a sales call, right? Where you're hitting all the pain points of the target audience. Let's say it was a creator who is in the fitness industry and their audience wants to get bigger. In this video, you're going to talk about, look, if you're weak, if you're scrawny, if you want to change how you look in front of different women, I think this is for you. And you start closing them in this video. Okay, that's going to be on the landing page. They scroll down, they look at different benefits, features of the community, and at the end of this list, there's going to be a button that says join now for access. Price will be raising on blah, 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 a certain random date. Okay, you launch this landing page, you keep it open for a week. Day one, that's when you'll receive the most spikes. That's when, 75% of your sales will happen. Throughout the week, it'll be mediocre, right? And then on the final day, you use scarcity and urgency to close everybody. So you say, look, I've got 15 spots left. Everybody join. Show them the excitement of people joining this community. Show them, look, James just joined. He said he's loving it so far. Post it on the story. Show these people, that your product is actually good and it changes people's lives. You use scarcity and urgency. You get everybody into the community and you actually close it at the close date for the launch. Okay. That's how you initiate a proper successful launch. Okay. After that, you can get into stuff like high ticket coaching. You can open up spots for like $2,500 one-time fees. But if you want to run a successful info product and a successful community, you need to be able to initiate a successful launch.
Bro, I'm going to be honest with you. I know for a fact no one is going to watch. Well, I'm not going to say that. I'm going to say that you just dropped so much sauce off the jump that, like, if someone really wanted to do it, and I mean really wanted to do it, they could do it immediately off of everything you just said. You just broke down marketing. You just broke down the sales. You broke down the pre-launch. You broke down the week before the actual launch and how to use scarcity to get the final closes before the price increases and get people in there. Like, this is what I'm talking about. Like, we have conversations like this, and bro, like the softwares and everything to do everything, like Google. Like, the fact that you just gave every step by step on how to do this, and there's people that will still just not do it. Like, there's people that still will not do it. And that's why it's so, like, that's the funny thing, because it's like you don't gatekeep anything because people won't do it, and like you'll say stuff and like no one will do it. Like, that's the craziest part. Like, you just gave the sauce, and like someone could go out here and like make like easy 6 figures plus doing that, bro. Like, literally, oh my God.
That's why, like, when it comes to giving people information, I don't gatekeep anything. Like, if you can ask me a question, I'll tell you what to do. But most people, like you said earlier, will not do it. That's why, like, I'm not really worried about anybody passing me off and stuff like that. I think all that's sort of stupid. But most people won't really just take the actions necessary to do what I give them. And, yeah, like you said, you sort of nailed it on the head right there.
Bro, that's huge. I definitely want to kind of end it off right there, because honestly, that level of value was nuts. I'm gonna be honest. I kind of feel bad when someone gives that much value, because it's like, I want to make a point that anyone that's watching this, if you simply listen, write down exactly what he just said, do it. Even if it's not for somebody else, grow your own audience, do that for yourself. He literally just gave you all the levers for like a good funnel, a sales page to a funnel to join a community. Like, I don't know. People will literally sit there and like not do anything what you just said. But bro, I appreciate having you on, man. Is there any last thing I want to make sure? Any last thing you want to say to the audience? Something that you want to say, get off your chest, and also, anything last you want to say?
Yeah, so I would say to most of you watching this video right now, if you're looking to get into any type of online business and you're looking to get any type of success, you need to realize that the two most important things when it comes down to all of this is truth and wisdom, right? So if you don't have truth, if you're not seeking for truth, if you're ripping people off, if you're scamming, your business isn't going to succeed long term, right? Because you're not fulfilling your product, and it can only go for so long, okay? And when it comes to wisdom, you need to seek for wisdom. You need to look for wisdom, right? You need to read books. Don't just go and watch these 18-year-old kids, YouTube videos on how they made money. Seek for the source of information. Look for the genuine source, right? Seek wisdom and combine that with truth. You'll make money, and as long as you stick to the plan, you'll be able to achieve whatever you want in life.
Bet. Shout out to social medias. I'm going to link everything in the description for sure.
Yeah, so my Instagram is danilo.vasilic. YouTube, danilo.vasilic. Everything is danilo.vasilic. Make sure you guys check me out. Check out my content. I just started posting, and then a few months from now, if you guys jump in early right now, you'll be able to see my growth. I'm looking to hit about 10K plus in like 6 months from now, and that's just a small goal. So
That's what's up. Appreciate you guys.